Hi, this is Murtovich. I'm from Hyderabad, India. I'm part of the Elsewhere in India project with Avinash. I'm the music director for the project.
Hi, I'm Avinash. I'm a visual jockey and designer. Elsewhere in India is essentially an audiovisual electronica performance. It came from the pandemic, sitting together and thinking about the future of the earth and future of India. And it's basically a story that's set in the year 2079. And it follows the central protagonist, who's a cyborg by the name Meenakshi. And it also features digital avatars of both Murthy and me. We're the sidekicks for this cyborg. And the three of us in this story in the future are essentially trying to piece together fragments of Indian heritage that are left behind and trying to relive and recreate some of the magic of that heritage in the future.
I think the audiences can see our humble effort is to bring together various cultural practices and art forms of Indian origin and also Southeastern origin, basically South Asian origin, so that we can piece them together and present it to the future generations and the current generations, because if not dying, they're surely diminishing, and it's a good way to contemporize and introduce older practices and introduce the richness of it and in a very playful manner with music and visuals and other things.
And our background is essentially in the Indian electronic dance music scene. So we've been doing that for about a couple of decades. But over the years, we also realized that there's a lot of power of electronic music that's unfortunately sometimes only limited to nightclubs and music festivals. So a big part of this project is to see how we can connect that world which we are coming from and this world, for example, of a museum, of education, of heritage. And so a big part of this is how do you take electronic music to new audiences and also, I guess, create a certain sense of responsibility in some sense towards the world, towards society through that work, which often electronic music is kind of looked at as the other way. So it kind of like changed that perception, I guess. And even though we're older, so to speak, we're veterans, but we both, I think, have quite a childish enthusiasm and energy, which I think is the most important thing finally.
So the audiences have been really receptive, welcoming to the performance. We debuted our performance at the famous Magnetic Fields Festival in India.
This is our first gig ever inside a museum, inside such an amazing gallery. And one of the ideas that we have right now after coming here and speaking to the museum staff as well is to see if we can work with the Pacific Cultures Gallery and try to include some of this material into the show as it develops. As well as work with other museums in Australia. So museums are a big part of what we do. The Fringe Festival in general has been on our radar, and it's always attracted me from far away because of what I've heard about it, which is that there's a lot of acceptance for alternative cultures. There's a lot of warm welcome for whoever you are, whatever you do, from wherever you are. But we're hoping we can come back next year with a bigger and better show. Because the show that you just saw, this is like the most minimal version of it. So the idea ideally would be to have the dancers, the musicians, and then us in just enabling that collaboration, and hopefully next year.